Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our AM 101. Do we have everybody? Looks like it. Okay, so we had a little mix up on time with this AM 101. I apologize. Zoom had a reset and it looks like it reset our time from Pacific Daylight Time to Pacific Standard Time. And so there are going to be a whole bunch of people jumping on in an hour after we're done, but it'll be recorded. And so everything will be fine. And the greatest thing of all is that our NAR colleagues are here to do our presentation for us. So with that, I want to welcome everybody to our AM 101. It's going to be NAR grants for local associations. Please remember that we are going to be recording this and you can put your questions in the chat, and also keep your microphones muted, and we will send everybody a recap of this. Everybody who registered will get a recap with all of the slides as well as the link to the recording. And with that, I would like to introduce our colleague from NAR, John Winston. He's the Director of State and Local Political Programming, and he's going to go over grants for independent expenditures, issue mobilization, and advocacy everywhere. John, please take the stage.
Thank you so much, Peggy, and thank you guys for joining, and for those viewing later, we appreciate your time and interest. Look, you guys do a tremendous job for our members, and I know a lot of you guys are smaller offices, and everything we're going to be talking about is completely what the NAR staff and resources are here to help you, right? And even for small offices, everything we talk about today, I think, can be done even if you're a staff of one. If you don't know about it, you should certainly check out the Realtor Party Resource Guide, which has everything that we are going to talk about today, a little bit more in depth, along with all the contact information. And you see the website there, and I think Christine will be circling back to that as well. So this is a quote I like to always start and talk about. Look, a lot of times realtors have a little bit of difficulty getting involved in what I do, which is politics, right? I love politics. I care about politics. I know I'm not normal, but what I always like to say to folks is, you may not care about politics, but politics cares about you, right? And there's everything we do, everything your members do is affected and touched by politics, whether you like it or not. And unfortunately, having worked with a lot of elected officials over my 20+ year career of doing campaigns and working with candidates, etc., is, I will tell you, they're going to listen to the people in the room, right? And a lot of times, unfortunately, they're going to listen to the loudest voice, which is whoever yells the loudest and longest wins. And that's what we call it, participatory democracy. And so my pitch to you and all the programs I'm going to be talking about is how we can make sure that we are the voice for real estate, that we are the ones talking to the legislators, the city council members, the county council members, about the things that affect the daily life and jobs of our association and our homeowners. Okay, next slide. So first, the thing is, I'm going to talk to you about our state and local independent expenditure program. And again, I want to emphasize, this can sound like it can be a little intimidating, especially for smaller staffs, but everything I'm going to talk about is, you've got really good staff. In particular case, you got Mitchell Norton, who's the staff executive for this grant. His contact information is down there. On the fifth bullet down. And this is really about, how do you do a little bit more, right? You're used to giving maybe donations to local candidates, but a lot of times there might be, is there a realtor running? Is there somebody who's been very good on our issues, who's been a champion that you've been able to get on the phone, that your members can talk to, that can really do a little bit more to make sure that the property rights and the interest of homeowners and property owners is at the forefront? Look, a lot of times, so one of the things we want to do is make sure we have good people in place who understand our issues. And so if you're interested in getting involved in a campaign, what NAR staff will do is you reach out to us. It's very simple. You reach out to Mitchell and he will design a campaign plan for you. We have consultants on board who can design all the material. You don't have to do it, but you will approve all of the different material. And it's the turnaround process on this is very quick. We can turn around, there's a weekly consent agenda. So there's amount of money that you can apply for. Again, we will design the budget and tell you how much you should ask for. If you wanted to say do 3 pieces of mail in support of Jane Smith, who has been outstanding for you as a county exec, or you've got a board that is just voting against, for the tenants and just like out of control, and you want to support, and you've got some people that maybe are more moderate that you would want to represent, reach out to us and we can put together a campaign that is independent from the campaign, right? So we're not in coordination with the campaign, but you're essentially running a wholly separate campaign, doing direct mail, doing digital, doing phone calls. We've had a tremendous success rate with this program. Over 70% historically of the candidates that are back through this program. We do about over 500 in an even numbered year and over 300 of these nationwide in a given year. And we get about 70% of them elected. And just to talk to you a little bit, so there is money allocated for California just for this program alone. And just for local associations. So the state gets some of the money, $478,994 every year is allocated to the state, and that can roll over. And there's another $478,994 that is just for local associations in California. And that is just about every year. That number varies a little bit. It's based on membership, but it's between $475,000 and $500,000 every single year. And even if you don't have elections this year, that money then rolls over into next year. I think most local elections in California are in the even numbered year. It used to be the other way. So that means there's going to be close to $1 million available to local associations to get involved in races for candidates. I don't want to go. I can go into all the details, but I want to sort of leave time for my other colleagues. I could do 30 minutes, hour just on this topic alone, but I'll try to keep it moving. So, Christine, next one. So, the next one is issue mobilization campaigns. So, the state and local IE program is just for candidate activity, and is just for when that you want to do that little bit extra to support a candidate, right? And that is done through a weekly consent agenda. You reach out to Mitchell Norton, and he will guide you every step of the way of the process. We'll build the budget, we'll produce the mail pieces, we'll send them to you for approval, and it's seamless. Very similar. The issue mobilization campaign is for non-candidate activity. That is a political engagement. When you are either trying to pass something, if you say got a sign ordinance that you are trying to get support, or trying to make sure it's either voted down or voted for, whatever what it may be, or say there is a ballot initiative that's coming up that is going towards funding for critical infrastructure in your area. Either one of those could qualify for issue mobilization grant. And again, it's either active legislative issues, potential legislative issues, active ballot measures, potential ballot measures qualify under the issue mobilization campaign. And what the issue mobilization campaign does, which is slightly different, which about the topic I'm going to talk about next, which is sort of our advocacy everywhere and call for actions, is it allows you to reach out beyond your membership to the voters. It's like running a campaign, much like a political campaign for a candidate. You're running it on either a legislative issue, sort of what is sometimes referred to as grass top lobbying, where we reach out and we do very innovative things. We can get on a given issue. We just did an issue on short-term rentals in Southern Maryland, and we got 20 calls a day into the city council members office every day saying, hey, we're against this ordinance, right? And these are not just realtors. There's some realtors that will take action on this, but we go beyond this. We use very sophisticated data and targeting to really sort of hone a very efficient model for you. Now, all that stuff I will say to you is I am actually the staff executive for this grant. And if you reach out to me, I can walk you through every step of the process. I can help you with your, as you're putting in your grant application, walking through you all the steps, giving you feedback and what the committee wants to hear from you, what they don't want to do it. It is sort of a lengthy, but I've been doing that now for about 6 years. And I can tell you what the members will sort of respond to, what they won't respond to. And again, we can either do this where we, much like the independent expenditure programs, we can design everything, we can build a budget, we can do all this sorts of things, sort of a soup to nuts sort of situation where we design the budget, come up with a campaign plan, and then execute the campaign plan and use and help you apply for the grant along the way. There is a skin in the game requirement, but I can walk you through that. There's also corporate ally funds available to offset that. But all those sorts of pieces are sort of details that I will help you work through as you move forward. Or if there's something going on locally, like you already have say there is a coalition, maybe led by the home builders or some affiliate organization, or you're being supportive of something the city council is trying to get passed, like say a sales tax increase instead of a property tax increase. Something like that to go towards schools. We've had those grants before, and those are also sort of things that you can come to us and say, we want to be involved in this coalition, and we can talk about, what's an appropriate amount and help you sort of either figure out we can run a campaign in conjunction with what the coalition is doing, or we can just contribute to overall what the coalition is done. And what I also want to emphasize is that much like the independent expenditure program, this is NAR will help fund it, but at the end of the day, it is your association, either you as the staff or your members, the designated, that will approve everything and sort of sign off on it. So everything will be come out, through your. NAR is not just going to come in and drop direct mail into your area. And I would say it works wonderfully. We've had a lot of success with this. We have $11.8 million annual budget. Now, of course, that is to cover nationally. But I will tell you, California is by far for this particular grant. We do more grants in California than any state, by not just because of the size of membership, but because you have so many ballot initiatives, a lot of bad ballot initiatives that you're fighting, right? A lot of, trying to do rent control or tenants' rights or bans on short-term rentals or all these sorts of things that a lot of times you're fighting fires. So what I'll say is we can get involved. We can help you with this. I'd love to work with you, and I'll be happy to answer any questions if you decide, reach out. All right, next one. So finally, you have Advocacy Everywhere. And so we have the call for actions. And what Advocacy Everywhere is, it's just a program that gives you, it's especially designed for smaller associations that don't have the staff to sort of build and run their own call for actions. And so if there's a little quick application that you put on our website, and then say you've got a measure that is coming up that you like, hey, there's a board meeting or council meeting coming up next week, and I want to let our members to get out and reach out to, and this is just to members, reach out to our city council and let them know that we support or oppose this piece of legislation, and it's very critical. And so what Advocacy Everywhere is, it's what we call Uber for advocacy. Like, in other words, it's customized, it's fit to your needs, and you put in the application. We will have either our staff or our consultants reach out to you, walk you through all the different steps, set up the call for action. We've got all the data for your members. We'll track if they are able to take action. We just did this very successfully in Colorado. There was a rent control bill that was moved through the House and was moving through the Senate. We were able to kill it in a committee meeting, and the key vote was a Democrat who sided with the Republicans on this vote, sort of flipped, and part of the reason potentially that he maybe moved his decision was we had over I think like 400 different realtors reach out to him and communicate their distress about, their concerns about this particular legislation and how it actually would increase rents in the area. And he cited some of our talking points when he was saying, was giving reasons why he decided to vote against it. So it's there for you. It's very customizable. It's very easy to use. I encourage you, if you've got measures coming up, especially on a short turnaround, the Advocacy Everywhere program is really good and customizable for what you do. And if Christine, can you just I'll show a couple of emails. Next one. And there's just like we can do both texting and do email campaigns. And this program is just to members, right? And it's our way of sort of making sure that you can do your own call for action. And with that, I will. I know I went through a lot, but I know we got a lot more to come. So I'll turn the mic over to Christine.
Thank you so much, John, and thank you so much for the opportunity to have us present on our programs. And you'll see as we go through the presentation that a lot of the programs work together and complement each other. This program is the Community Outreach and Resource Program. And within our program, there are 5 buckets of grants that local and state associations can access. The grants fall under different categories related to community development. We have smart growth, housing opportunity, rural outreach, placemaking, and fair housing grants. Most of the grants, all the grants come in 2 levels, up to $7,500. And smart growth and housing opportunity come in 3 levels, so up to $15,000. All the levels this year were bumped up in response to feedback we've received from association executives and governmental affairs directors on just the rising cost of engaging and advocating on behalf of your members. So again, the grants are designed to help you advocate, engage, and influence state and local governments through a variety of grants and resources I'll explain. So the grants this year are available between January 3rd and October 15th. The skin in the game requirement is waived this year under the Right Tools Right Now program for associations. So just want to talk a little bit about how associations are using the grant. So again, level 1 up to $3,000 typically are used to fund realtor education and stakeholder meetings. And so, for instance, a lot of our associations use the Smart Growth Level 1 to host what we call a Smart Growth for the 21st Century course. And this is an opportunity to engage your elected officials, your members on the principles of smart growth. And this is great in case you are looking at redoing your comprehensive plan or your zoning ordinance, and you want everyone to have buy-in on different methods to develop in the future with an eye on smart growth principles, which is building in versus building out. Level 1 is also used to educate members and stakeholders on fair housing issues. Fair housing grant is used to bring in speakers. We had the Bay East Association use the level 1 to bring in Richard Rothstein to talk about the color of law. And this success story, they brought in not only members, but they invited the community to come in and have a virtual discussion to talk about the book. A couple more examples. Level 2, up to $7,500 is used to fund a variety of initiatives, activities, and projects related to forest and community development and fair housing. So we see this used to conduct homebuyer education, consumer-facing homebuyer education, creating fair housing campaigns, a lot of forums on housing supply and inventory, and these forums are used to set the table to talk about key housing issues with an eye on policy change in the future to get buy-in. Also seen it used to hire consultants to tweak zoning codes for incorporation of missing middle housing, which is a hot topic now as we try to figure out those housing solutions. So we have the West Georgia Association. They use a level 2 to partner with a HUD certified housing counseling agency. There are many in California. They partnered with them to talk about first-time homebuyer programs, down payment assistance, loan programs, and discuss that pathway to home ownership. We're also seeing a lot of financial literacy initiatives this year, so it can be used for that as well. And another example, we had Northeast Wisconsin. They partnered with their NeighborWorks entity in their locality to put together a marketing campaign on fair housing, a brochure on fair housing law compliance. And this was distributed to landlords. And at the end of the session, we'll provide this PowerPoint for you all. And within some of the slides, you'll have links to the success stories so you can reach out to your fellow AEs and learn more about how they saw success with these grant programs. Few more level 2, Baldwin Realtors use the new Rural Outreach Grant Program, came online about 2 years ago, and they used the level 2 to work with FEMA to put on a full week of floodplain education. So they had CE courses offered in the beginning. They had FEMA come in just to talk to realtors about flood maps. Then they had a panel on lessons learned from Hurricane Sally, which is great. And a lot of these conversations that are supported by grants, sometimes those conversations turn into discussions on policy changes that need to move forward in order to improve market, improve the business environment. So they're seen as foundational grants, relationship building grants. So please take advantage of them. We saw the Spokane realtors use the Housing Opportunity Level 2 grant to bring in the NAR affiliate counselors of real estate to come in and assess housing gaps in their city. Counselors spent a week on the ground talking with city leaders and the association leadership and made recommendations on what needed to change. They made a recommendation that the city needed to move forward with the missing middle zoning code change. And guess what? The city did just that. So huge success on how they leveraged that grant to spark change, build relationships, and further conversation moving forward. Level 3, more comprehensive projects are approved under this level. This level is approved by a review group with the Housing Opportunities Committee and the Smart Growth Advisory Board Committee. So it takes a little longer to approve. Just to give you an example of some of the projects that have been approved in the past. We had the Bellingham Realtors conduct a consumer-facing housing campaign just to raise awareness about the need for increased housing solutions in northwest corner of Washington State, and the Howard County Realtors used that level 3 to conduct a year-long series on homebuyer education. They partnered with a HUD counseling agency where they served over 1,000 residents just to talk to them about how to buy a home in the state of Maryland. So a wild success there. Another program that's not a grant, but it's a full funding resource for local and state associations is our Transforming Neighborhoods program. So you heard a little bit about that housing opportunity grant that helped fund the counselors of real estate coming into Spokane. But so because we saw such success with that program, NAR retains the NAR affiliate CRE to put together a permanent program started last year that would allow local and state associations to apply to receive CRE services to come to their chartered footprint to tackle a real estate problem of interest. So whether it's housing gaps, commercial disinvestment, CRE will come into your community and talk to your stakeholders and your association leaders on how to address the issue. So the application Opened on January 3rd this year. It's closed, but I'm keeping this open because we still want to talk to people. So if you are, we have our projects this year, but if you're thinking about a project for next year, please just give me a call so we can talk about it. And let me give you a couple of examples. So last year, we went to the Peoria Realtors. They had an entire corridor that was suffering from commercial disinvestments, not only retail had moved out, but they had 2 school sites that had been boarded up. And so it was a trap for more disinvestment. So C.A.R came in, talked to the mayor, talked to the chamber and the Realtor Association, of course, always taking the lead, and came up with recommendations on what to do with the corridor. So they talked about, hey, how can we leverage some of the tax credits within the state? How can we leverage some of the other types of authorities within the state to help recapture the reinvestment? There is wildly successful. The mayor and the realtors were really happy with the report, which came out. And of course, this is located on our website along with the video as well. So lots of success. I just came back from the Knoxville Association of Realtors. We did a C.A.R engagement last week, again, about commercial disinvestment, and the elected leaders and county staff there were very happy, and that report should come out by this summer. Just a little bit more about the grant program, just sort of swinging back in terms of our placemaking grant, which I just really need to talk about it through examples. This program is very popular and successful. It's an opportunity for local associations not only to beautify their community, but to build relationships with elected officials and staff, which is really important. Allows you to apply for helping to transform an underutilized public space, and that's the key. It needs to be publicly accessible to everyone. It can't be on private property, into something that provides a destination point for the community. So whether it's a trailhead or a park or a dog park or a community garden, that's the criteria that it's judged against. So level 1 is available up to $3,000 for a temporary project. If you wanted to put temporary parklet in a parking lot just to kind of see what the vision could be within that space, with an eye on turning it into something more permanent. And so this is an example of a level 1 temporary alley activation with an eye on perhaps turning it into a gathering spot. And then level 2 is used for more permanent projects. So this is an example from the Space Coast Association. They turned a blank field that was doing nothing, and of course it's public property, into a dog park and a focal point for the community. The placemaking grant program comes with a toolkit. Most of our grants are attached to a toolkit. The toolkits include criteria for selection, success stories, and best tips for applying. We also have a Spaces to Places blog that these articles are written by association communications directors about their projects to inspire others to do the same. So please take advantage of that resource that's on the NAR website. Another program that's a funding program is our state and local growth calling program. We work with John on this program, partnering with Public American Strategies with Joe Good. And this survey helps an association take the temperature about consumer preferences on walkability, transportation, and housing choices. And oftentimes this survey is used as your backdrop, as your evidence to help advocate for changes in your general plan, your comprehensive planning, your zoning ordinance to improve walkability and smart growth and housing opportunity in your community. I was sitting at a meeting last week in Knoxville, and we had an elected official talk about the survey and how impactful it was to prevent downzoning in that community. And they really had to do a rethink about their ideas in terms of growth and development because people wanted more walkability. So the survey instrument can be very, very powerful. And we have a ton of success stories on our Realtor Party success story site. Next funding program is our land use initiative. This is at no cost to the association. So remember, John was talking about that sign ordinance that could come up, that could pop up. Well, you can use the land use initiative when that ordinance pops up and your member lets you know about it to help you understand it. So all I have to do is submit the proposed ordinance. Our attorneys at Robinson and Cole in Boston will analyze the ordinance for you and provide talking points so you can weigh in and advocate on behalf of your members. And so when I was a local association exec and GAD, I would use this service all the time because our municipality would throw things at us just without telling us. And I would use the service to put together my president's testimony, put together a letter to the editor. What's great is all the memos are located on the Land Use Initiative database website. You can log in with your M1 number and password and understand sort of the depth that this program has, just to give you an idea of the product you'll receive afterwards. And there's some success stories. Some people have used this resource to help fight battles. We had the New Orleans Metropolitan Association used it to minimize the impact of rental regulations, and in Knoxville, they used it to defeat downzoning proposals, along with issues of mobilization, and I think advocacy everywhere too. So sometimes you'll see the resources used in tandem with each other, as I mentioned before. That's and then of course we have our growth management fact book, which is a document attached to the Land Use Initiative. This is your encyclopedia for all things growth management. So here you'll see an issue brief on growth management or cluster zoning, and our attorneys at Robinson & Cole have looked through at this issue through a property rights lens, and will cover that issue's impact on property values, development costs, amount and patterns of development, housing affordability, and they'll give you pros and cons along with some talking points that provide some incentive-based alternatives. So if you're looking for a primer on what is moratoria, what is this cluster zoning? I've got a tree preservation ordinance, or we've got a TDR, transfer of development rights, we're considering, and I just need to get up to speed. This is your sort of your one-stop shop. It's also great reading material at 3 o'clock in the morning. So if you can't get to sleep, just pull that on up and you'll be able to fall asleep in about 15 minutes, but it's a great resource. Our Hong Kong Wind Ground magazine, a little bit about that, is an additional service for you. So this magazine, first published in 1998, helps us really understand land use and topics related to land use around the country, but also we pull in those success stories and how realtor associations are finding common ground with municipalities around the country on key issues. So this latest issue coming out in a couple of weeks is going to focus on adaptive reuse and revitalization, and really unpacking that issue so you can learn about it and also understand how other associations and key stakeholders are working around the country to help drive improvement in their communities. This resource is free to you. We have hundreds of associations that have us mail the magazine to their elected officials with a really nice cover letter from the president or the AE. We also can deliver a box to your association office. I used to use it just to hand out at our governmental affairs meetings. If we had an elected leader join us for the meeting, it was just a nice leave behind. And it also showcased that the Realtor Association was engaged in land use issues and smart growth issues, and that we care, we're a major player. And so it sends a key message to them. And it's a great leave behind, not only for them, I used to have them in my store too. So take advantage of that. The community outreach program has planning sessions available for association executives. This is really a key resource, especially for newer AEs. I know I was one at one time where, whoa, what's going on when I first came to the local realtor association landscape. And it allows you to hop on a quick Zoom with our staff just to talk about, oh, I have a fair housing class idea. Which grant should I use? Or I have a forum that I want to put on about growth and development. Just take advantage of the Zoom calls and we're happy to schedule them for you. Or you can call us at any time. One other grant I do want to mention is the Realtor Party Conference grant that's under advocacy. And this allows local and state associations to apply to have a conference to talk about Realtor Party grants and resources, and to help understand the lay of the land in terms of RPAC, which you'll hear Lauren talk about. The only requirement for the grant is that you have a member of the Realtor Party travel team come to your event and give them an opportunity to talk about Realtor Party and updates, but happy to answer any questions about that. And so with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and then Lauren, I think you're up next and you'll share your screen. I appreciate everyone's time.
Yeah. Thank you. Let me pull this up here. There we go. Hi, everyone. I am Lauren Colacelli, and I am the political fundraising manager at NAR, and I'm here to talk to you about all things RPAC and NAR grants. But to start off, I want to preface that by telling you everything that I'm about to tell you here with regards to RPAC. California has some very specific political fundraising rules and regulations, and so it can be prohibitive at times to take advantage of some of these grants and things that we offer on the RPAC side of things for political fundraising purposes. So anything that I'm talking about here in the next few minutes, if you're wanting to utilize it or thinking about utilizing it, we want to work with you on that, but come to me first before going through the time of filling out an application and all that, so we can kind of walk through and see what the best option is for you. But this is what we do have to offer at NAR. First, I wanted to talk about the online fundraising campaigns. I like to talk about these first because this is a free resource for you. So we at NAR on the state level, we offer monthly campaigns that states can opt into, but at the local level, you can have any type of targeted messaging. So if you have a state or local initiative that you want to talk about with your membership, do any kind of education campaigns, or do direct fundraising asks, we can help you build those messages and send those messages out to your membership. We can use your insignia, we can have it come from a high-powered broker, we can use your association logo, anything you want, we can help you build and send those messages. So that's one resource that we have available for you. The next is Major Investor Event Program. So this is our fundraising program specifically to target new and increased major investors and President Circle members. And our reimbursement for this program is new this year. We upped that amount to $100 per person, per attendee. And the big thing with this is that there is a volunteer speaker from NAR, from our travel team, that comes to your event and makes the ask. So because of this, we want to make sure that you are scheduling this with us at least 6 to 8 weeks in advance, so that we have time for the NAR travel team member to take time away from their family and their business to come and attend your event. In terms of the actual format for the event itself, because it's this smaller group, we usually ask you to target anywhere between like 30 to 45 attendees is kind of your sweet spot for these. You kind of do a welcome, an introduction in the middle. You can have your GAD or as an AE do a legislative briefing. And then that NAR representative that comes to the event can make the ask. And it's always good to have, kind of plants in the audience that are already willing to step up and give, to kind of have that conversation starting and to get those investments in the door. Some interesting examples that I've seen of major investor events recently. Iowa does a really great traveling roadshow, and so they get their bang for their buck with one speaker that comes in from NAR, and they travel over a couple of days to several different nearby associations, and they have them hit a breakfast and then do a lunch and then do a dinner, and try to utilize the speaker as best as possible. You can certainly pair up with other associations to do that. You can also, if you're a smaller local association and you don't think you can get enough people to ask to be major investors, you can pair with nearby associations and kind of host one together with other associations. And then you can also, if you're a big local and you're kind of spread out geographically, you can, do 2 different locations over 2 different nights for your association, and that speaker can stay. So definitely utilize our speakers to the best of your ability to get the most bang for your buck and get those investments in the door. This is our travel team for this year for the RPAC side of things. So we have a wide variety of different type of speakers. If you are interested in, who might be best, if you need a hard ask or a soft ask for your association, just let us know and we can kind of find the right person for you geographically speaking, but they're all spread out and they're all happy to come and speak to your association. Next is the RPAC fundraising grants. So this is for anything other than exactly major investor. You can ask major investors to obviously step up and be major investors, but this is anything from $15, which is our minimum for participation in RPAC, all the way up through major investors. So kind of your catch-all for getting investments in the door. The goal for this grant program is to increase RPAC participation and receipts, is not to be used for recognition purposes. So you're not purely just thanking people for investments that they already made. You want to get those investments through the door with this grant and this program. In terms of how much you can receive, you can see here that we offer associations, depending on your association size, anywhere from $5,000 to $15,000 annually to host your events. You don't have to apply for, the full grant amount all at once. If you have smaller events throughout the course of the year, you can apply for different fundraising amounts up to that 5,000, 10 or 15. But the main goal here is that you're required to raise 3 times what you're receiving in grant funding to host this event. So if you're, getting $5,000, you need to raise at least $15,000. If you don't raise that 3 times amount, we will reimburse you for 1/3 of what you do raise to keep in compliance with our 1/3 rule. Lots of different examples of things that you can do. State pending. I know a lot of states have rules on games of skill and games of chance and other things of that nature. And so definitely, I know a lot of associations share ideas that they hear from other states. But if you have any questions about what you can host, definitely ask me and we can figure out what it would allow. But we've had this karaoke competition, which is a karaoke, and you kind of, pay to do karaoke, or you can pay to not sing karaoke and give somebody else the ability to sing. And so that's always been a fun competition. These My RPAC Did That buttons, one association sold those for a $15 investment, and it came with a little card of all the different things that RPAC did for you, so it can kind of start a conversation and get people talking about how to invest. And then of course there's a Monte Carlo casino night that goes well if your state allows to do something fun like that. So there are a lot of different options. You don't just have to do kind of your boilerplate golf tournament or auction or something like that. There are a lot of different ideas that associations have come up with. So if you need help with creativity and coming up with something to do, we see a lot of great examples, so we can help you out with that as well. And then Phone a Friend for RPAC. This is our phone banking effort, and we run that through our RPAC management system through Aristotle. So you can do phone banks throughout the course of the year. You can apply for up to 12 per year if you want, and there's $500 available for you, so that you can bring in pizza, balloons, prizes, kind of make it fun for your membership. And we'll set you up with a script that you can use, depending on who you want to target. We can come up with a call list for you, and really, and then you can take the investments there on site as you're on the phone with them. And so people have found a lot of ways to make this very fun and exciting, and phone banks still do work. So definitely take advantage of them if you have the opportunity to. And then one more free resource for you. These are our RPAC brochures. You can order up to 1 per member of your association for free. I don't recommend that you order that many. Definitely see what would work for you. But we have a residential and a commercial brochure available. And they have all different types of issues, again, of like what RPAC has done for you, especially on the federal level. And so those are available to you if you need them as a resource in 101 as well. And with that, I will stop sharing my screen. And I think that's what we have, but we're happy to take any questions if you guys have anything.
Does anybody have any questions? I know we have a smaller group because unfortunately we had the wrong time on the meeting. So hopefully we will have a lot of people who are watching the recorded video. It doesn't look like we have questions. So with that, I would like to thank our colleagues from NAR, John, Christine, and Lauren. Thank you so much for your time. This is going to be an amazing resource for everybody, especially GADs and AEs. And I really want to thank you for the presentations and putting it all together and working with us and being willing to take questions.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.